Hello ladies and gents, this is the fourth of 6 interviews recorded for the Making of GoldenEye. I'll be uploading these in the order in which they were recorded. This time I'm talking to Grant Kirkhope, who along with Graham Norgate composed the game's soundtrack. If you haven't watched the Making of GoldenEye, I recommend watching that first, as it's better hearing from all 6 developers together on the development of the game. I'm no professional interviewer, so again this is quite informal, but Grant gave me some fascinating info on the music side of things. I've edited out some pleasantries at the start, so we'll dive right into the questions. Enjoy! I just wanted to kind of start right at the start. What was your background in music before you started working at Rare and in video games?
So I did music all through school. I did recorder at 4, trumpet at 6. I started playing guitar about 12. I'm self-taught kind of metal guitar player, but I did the kind of full classical thing on the trumpet. I ended up going to the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester for 4 years to do a music degree. First study was trumpet, second study was piano, but I'm crap at piano. So I spent 4 years there. And prior to that, like from 12, I played in bands and stuff, local bands and whatever. Wanted to be a metal guitar player. That's what I wanted to be, really, not really be a trumpet player. So did all that, and then finished at Manchester at 22. I went home, and I didn't really want to get a job. So I kind of messed around in bands for about the next 11 years, really. So I was on and off the door most of the time. So I was playing local bands, pubs and stuff, all that kind of thing. And I played for a couple of bigger bands. I played for a band called The Zoot and the Roots, who were like a big student band back in the day. They did all the unis and did quite a lot of it in Europe. A proper kind of working band, like 4 or 5 nights a week on trumpet. We did Saturday Night Live, Ben Elton and things like that, all that kind of stuff, and then I also played for a band called Little Angels on trumpet, who were quite a big UK rock band. They did a #1 album in the UK. We did some big tours with them. We supported Van Halen for a 6-week tour, Bon Jovi for a 6-week tour. Brad Adams, we played Wembley Stadium with Brad Adams, the old Wembley Stadium. Played massive stadiums with Bon Jovi in like Europe, like Mannheim Stadium was 90,000 seats and all that. So it was incredible. He did a proper big rock and roll stuff, and Van Halen was fantastic because I've been a guitar player. I loved being near Eddie because he was such a nice guy and talked to us all the time. In fact, he gave me a guitar as well. I got a guitar of his, which is amazing. So I got to about 33, and like all the bands kind of split up, really. All kind of fell to pieces. So I was back to maybe prior to that, sort of 31, 32. I was kind of just back to local bands again, really. Scraping a living. Living with my mother still at 33. And a mate of mine, Robin Beanland, who was one of the keyboard players, I keyboard played in a band that I played for, a local band. Good mates. He announced that he'd got a job. And I was like, bloody hell, no one that I knew got a job. All of my mates just played in bands, went on tour, stand on the door, etc. That's all I ever did, right? So he was saying, I'm going to work for Rare in the Midlands. I've never heard of him, Write music for video games, couldn't believe it. Off he went. And so I was kind of piqued my interest. I was like, oh, that's a real job, I need to hasten to add that when I was at university or college, music college, you had to pass the harmony exam once in the 4 years that you were there. So I failed it 3 years out of 4 because I was terrible at harmony, like absolutely terrible. I scraped by in the last year by the skin of my teeth. Anyway, so a year and a half went by. He'd been at Rare about a year and a half. He said, Grant, you've been on the dole on and off for about 11 years. Why didn't you get a job? I said, well, what can I do? I just play in bands. That's it. I haven't got any skills at all. So why don't you try to do what I'm doing, write music for video games? And I was like, I don't know. I played a lot of games at the time. So I was a big gamer, but I never crossed my mind. I said, well, I'll have a go. So he recommended I buy some gear. Got an Atari ST with a meg of RAM because that was like a big deal in those days. Copy of Cubase, which is like a sequencing program. Process FX synthesizer, and that was it. I sort of sat in my bedroom, writing music that I thought was appropriate for video games. It was like 1994. So I sent Rare 5 cassette tapes over the course of 1994. Never got a reply. And out of the blue, got a letter saying, please come for an interview. Couldn't believe it. So I had to write some music to go down with me. So I wrote a Mario type platform piece, a guitar-based fighting piece because I was doing Killer Instinct at the time, and a Batman style orchestral piece because Batman, the first Batman movie, just come out, around about that time. So it's 1995 it was. Yeah, so anyway, 94. So I set the cassettes down, got the letter saying come for an interview, and I got there and Dave Wise interviewed me, along with Simon Farmer, who was the general manager. And I was on a Friday, I got a letter in the money saying I got the job, couldn't believe it. So packed my bags, left my mother in Knaresborough, went off to Twycross to work at Rare. I had no idea what I was doing really, and just absolute fluke. So if Robin had not done it and suggested it, I'd never have done it. It was not for 1 second did I think about being a composer. I wrote songs for the metal bands I played for, but never once ever thought about being a composer because I was so bad at harmony. I was terrible at it. So how on earth I managed it, I really don't know.
Wow, stroke a lot.
33, first job, can't believe it.
It sounds like you're having a whale of a time prior to that.
Well, no, I mean, the highs were good, but the lows were bad. Like, being on the dole, still living with my mum, no job prospects, doing the local pubs, pub rock, clubs and stuff. Like, it was great doing the big stuff. That was super good fun, right? But you didn't do it all the time, So in between that, you had to go back to being normal. So, you'd be literally playing Wembley Stadium, and the next day be playing a pub in Harrogate for 35 quid. Literally, that's how it went.
Wow. So you started at Rare. What was the first thing they put you on then when you started there?
So I got there October 15th, 1995, and the first job I got was converting Dave Wise's music from Diddy Kong's Quest, which is Donkey Kong Country 2, to work on the original grey Game Boy. So I had to convert that. And that was a bit of a task because I didn't really know anything. I'd been using MIDI files. It was like quite friendly. And when I got to Rare, it was like, oh no, when they did the Game Boy stuff, it was all in hex. Hex is just like a black screen with white numbers. Like it's kind of programming really. And I'd never done it before. I was like, oh my God, I can't do it. So Dave was really brilliant at that. So he came in and kind of showed me really quickly. Off he went. I was like, shit, I'm going to have to resign. I can't do it. So I rang Robin. We had the phones in the offices. So Robin, look, I'm going to have to resign. I said, I just can't do it. It's too hard. I just don't understand it. I've never done it before. It's incredible, He said, don't be stupid. He says, get Dave back tomorrow. Get him back to show you a bit more slowly and write it down. So I got Dave back and I wrote it down. Step 1, press Alt 4. Step 2, whatever it was. I wrote it down a massive step-by-step, 25 steps to get a note into the bloody thing, So I gradually got round it and it worked out. I quite enjoyed it in the end. But about halfway through, halfway between October and Christmas of '95, like Graham Norgate was doing GoldenEye and he was doing Blast Corps at the same time. I think he might have even been doing the Ken Giffrey baseball on the snares as well. I think that was still the back end of that was going on. So he was busy. He said, look, Grant, can you take over GoldenEye? Because I'm busy. And I was like, you're kidding, are you? I'd love to do it. So it was agreed that I'd do Game Boy in the morning and GoldenEye in the afternoon. So Hollis came to see me and says, all right, here's a bit of I got a brief kind of couple of pages of A4 with the levels on it. There was a brief description what the levels were, but that was it. And I didn't really see anything. So I just set about writing music that I thought was appropriate for James Bond, Like for me, getting that gig was amazing because people of my age, like when I was a kid, like the Bond movie of the year was the biggest film of the year. It was always fantastic, the best effects, the best music, just the most spectacular thing ever, right? So I was over the moon to get to do that. And the fact we had the rights to the Monty Norman theme tune, we could use that as well because he's very litigious, Monty Norman, about his theme tune, So we got that, so I could do anything we wanted to with it. It was great. I mean, we had this double CD at the time, which was all the pop tracks that preceded the movies, a compilation. So I've listened to all of that over and over again. And I knew the scores from the John Barry stuff because John Barry's amazing. So that was it. I just set about writing Bondy stuff,
So you say there you listened to all the themes, but you only had the rights to the Monty Norman theme, right? You couldn't use the Living Daylights or Duran Duran or whatever. But did you sneak any homages in there to those tracks?
Yeah, so unique bits, don't you? So I mean, the kind of GoldenEye theme tune, that's all over the place in my stuff, And I got I had my Faith No More drum beat for Frigate, and I stuck the kind of Duran Duran stabs over it from Due to a Kill, do like that. And I had it exactly right, and they said it's too close. I had to take one of the stabs out. So that, and then I kind of, that was my amalgamation of that. So it bled into everywhere, right? So like now I found there's a really a famous sound that I used in my tracks. It's kind of a sonar sound. It's like a submarine sonar sound. And I found that, and that was in the soundtrack to the GoldenEye movie by I've forgotten his name. Who wrote the score to that movie? Totally blanking now because he did quite a modern score, and I just so happened to find that sound on my Proteus FX synthesizer, so I used that. And I've been asked for that sound over the years so many times. People are like, "Where'd you get that sound from?" So I found I had it, and so I used it on all the tracks anyway. Well, most of the stuff. So yeah, it's just a kind of big. mix it all together, and I was pretty metal at the time, on long hair, because that's why we did the metal guitar version of the main theme, because I had the guitar there, I was playing guitar and Killer Instinct and what have you, so it was fun to do a different take on the Bond theme with a bit of metal guitar on it,
So you actually did that in at Twycross, did you, with the guitar?
Yeah. So, memory's really tight on the cartridge, because usually when you get a new Nintendo console, the first cartridges are really small and they get bigger as it goes on, so they get cheaper to make, right? So we had to find a way to get the guitar in there without having a whole phrase, because I have there's a really long phrase, right? It'd take too much space up. So Graham worked out that you could have like three separate samples, and you can so 4 samples, you can make the entire theme tune out of 4 little short samples. So that by piecing together, and that you should get it quite small memory. So it's only like 4 phrases in tiny little bits.
That's brilliant. So had you learned from doing Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy a bit about dealing with the limitations of cartridges?
Well, it's different then, right? Because in the Game Boy, you're using pure FM synthesis, which is just like tones inside the machine, right? When it came to the N64, you actually put samples in the machine. So we all made up, because me and Graham were sharing that project. You have a little kind of, you make it your own little MIDI orchestra. So you put all the sampled instruments that you want into the machine, and then you use those. That's how it works. So on the Game Boy, it's different. You actually physically, it's called FM synthesis. So it's like you actually have tones that you can use that are already in it. It's not like it doesn't play any samples at all. Where the snares and the N64 actually can physically get a sample, put it in the machine, and it'll play that actual real sample.
So on the Game Boy, you're basically just calling up the sounds that are available, and you just signal when. Yeah,
it's just a sine wave and a square wave that you just call in just a bare synthesis. That's it. That's what there's no sound.
So did you have to trim down a lot or cut anything out to actually fit it on the cartridge?
We had to make lots of compromises. Things like the cymbals. You hit a cymbal, it's got a very long decay rate. It goes for a long, long, long time. You couldn't afford that amount of memory. So we had to hit the cymbal, get the sound, and then put a loop point very close to the start of it. And then you put it, and so it goes like that. And then you put an envelope on it. So you draw an envelope. So you get the attack, you go, and you get an envelope to produce a volume. So you go, so it would sound shite, but that was the best we could do.
So when Graham kind of mentioned, come over to work on GoldenEye, at what stage was he at with the music at that point? I
can't remember. There's a bit in there. I mean, I kind of feel like we did half each really of the music. He's got there's a list somewhere that who wrote what. I've got a picture of it somewhere. So I guess we did. I thought I did a little bit more, but maybe it's let's call it half and half probably. And he did all the sound effects as well. So he did a bit. He'd done the main theme. I just forget what he'd done. I sort of started from scratch, so I think The Dam was the first piece I did. I did that. So, and then so I guess, I can't remember that.
So you were just responsible for certain levels music,
right?
Where you right? Okay.
Yeah, like I had the intention of completing the game and doing some sound effects, because I started doing some sound effects. But as I got through it, some part of 1995, and I forget where it was. Tim Stamper was a boss of Rare, and Greg Mayles, who was the lead designer on Donkey Kong Country, he's kind of a star. He was a kind of star, at Rare. Came to see me. In fact, it started prior to that. One night I was working late, and Chris Stamper, his other brother who's a boss, turned up with a lot of Japanese guys. Said, "Can we use some GoldenEye music?" I was like, "I didn't know who." I think it's Mr. Arakawa actually, head of Nintendo. I didn't know. I had no idea. I just sat there shitting myself, thinking I'm going to get fired, So I played him some tunes. Off you went, and then maybe day later, Tim and this young bloke, I didn't know he was, I didn't have been there, came in and said, I want to hear your music. I was like, oh, Christ, I'm definitely going to get fired. So, and Tim sat on the floor and Greg sat in the chair, and I was like, Christ, if Tim's the boss is sat on the floor and Greg sat in the chair, who is this guy? He's like somebody mega. I was like, shit myself. So I kind of played the music, and I went, like that, And because I'd done lots of different variations of the Bond theme, like different, kind of thing, that's what they were looking for. I didn't know that. So Tim said, "Yeah, that's great. So you need to come and work with us now on the." When I got there, the big game was called Dream. It was because the Donkey Country team would have that massive, gigantic seller, 10 million copies. It was a revelation in the game industry. Had gone off. They didn't do Donkey Kong 2. They went off to do their new fresh game, which is going to be called Dream, which is the big company thing, like amazing big secret, like this is going to be the best game of all time. And then Dave Wise was doing it. And Tim said to me, right, yeah, so we need you to stop this now and come and do. No, so you would like to come and join the Dream team with me and Greg. And I was, you said, yeah, I'll just finish GoldenEye. And I said, no, that's it now. You finish on GoldenEye, you come into our team tomorrow. That was it. So the boss was like, right. So that was it. So I kind of got, I had every intention of finishing GoldenEye and doing sound effects, but I got dragged off it to go and start on Dream, which became Banjo-Kazooie. So that was that. So I left it and went. I moved out of the little room and I went into the block with the team. So that's as far as I got. And I can't remember when that was. It was sometime in '95. Must have been a little while into '95. And then Graham finished his games and came back and finished off GoldenEye.
Did that leave anything unfinished that you would rather have finished on GoldenEye, do you think, music-wise?
I did all the music that I'd finished all the pieces that I got round. I had nothing left over. I'd done everything that I was, that I would have kept going. But got off to the Dream team.
So you said when you kind of composing, you had a rough description of the levels. So how useful was that in terms of the tone for each piece?
Not much, really. Like looking back on it now, I don't think I really paid a lot of attention to that. I read it. Duncan Botwood did it for me. So I guess things like Frigate, I thought, it's going to be a warship and all that, but I mean, I don't think I paid that much attention to it because all the levels are action levels, really, aren't they? All of them are. It's not like when you're doing I'm doing Mario Rabbids. It's it's an ice level or a snow level or it's all based in the same universe. It's all the same stuff. So I guess Alice was just trying to write things that were atmospheric and had the Bond theme in them and were different.
So I know, speaking of the levels and everything, I know a lot of the team played a lot of GoldenEye during development. Was it the same for you? And did that influence the music much?
So I did play it a bit, but not a lot. I don't feel like it ever was that stable to play it really when I was on it, because it's such an unstable game at the start. It was a big mess, it really was. I mean, everyone knows it. It didn't get good till right to the very end, really. And even then we weren't sure, there was loads of bugs in it because it was so late in development. I think the next movie was nearly out by the time we got GoldenEye finished. So maybe it was even out or just about. It was so far behind. What's the question again? Oh, play. So I didn't play a ton of it, and also I think I got dragged off. When it was playable to do Dream, so I just left it behind.
Yeah, I mean, 95 is quite early on, isn't it? I suppose, and it didn't come out till 97. So I know they were still adding stuff well into 97. So
yeah, so for me, it's like I think I got dragged onto Dream in 95. Maybe it was early 96. I can't remember. I just can't remember. But there's a list somewhere that I probably can find it and maybe try and mail it to you. Who wrote which tunes? Oh, Graham certainly got it. You get it off Graham.
Oh yeah, I'll ask him. That'd be interesting to see.
You
can't tell, if you play it, you can't kind of distinguish. Oh, that sounds a bit different,
Well, that's good. I mean, I can, but I mean, your own style. I know my own style. I know Graham's style. You know what I mean? So, but I mean, it's good that it's not like that. So, I asked Hollis about. I'd only been there a few months, a month if that, and said to Hollis, how long should the music be? He said, well, about a minute. I didn't know how long it's supposed to be, and that was way too short. It should have been like 3 or 4 minutes per piece because they loop around so quick, But he said, I don't know, a minute. I went, the whole thing about GoldenEye is that none of us have made a game before, apart from Graham Norgate. I think everybody else hadn't made a game, so no one knew what they were doing. It was all just like, suck it and see, So we all had a go with it, and sometimes that's why the best games are made. You don't know what the boundaries are. You just go with your gut, right? And I think that's why Rare was so great. Rare went with its gut so many times. Like these days, it's all corporate this, corporate that. Goes into it. You get you get focus groups to talk about games, and everybody likes a little bit of something, so you just end up watering it all down. So everybody likes a little bit, rather than people loving that. You know what I mean? It's like that's my gripe.
No, I agree, and I think that whole late 80s to mid 90s era was kind of a golden age for games in the respect that people didn't know what the rules were and they didn't know what worked, and it was a lot of experimentation, and you didn't have the big, like you said, corporations saying, well, we want this and this and this. It's just a shame, really. I think some of it's come back in recent years.
I think the indie guys, I think they have that now.
Yeah.
They make a lot of innovative stuff. Where the corporate guys, they've all got the shareholders to satisfy per quarter, so it's like your game's got to come out and it's coming out whether it's good or not, and that's it. And then you get a massive gigabyte download on launch day because I've had to fix loads of stuff that they couldn't fix before putting it through certification.
So you worked on Banjo-Kazooie after GoldenEye, as you said. What else did you work on at Rare after that?
So it's Banjo-Kazooie, then I think Donkey Kong 64, Perfect Dark, Banjo-Tooie. Then it was Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Viva Pinata, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts, and I left in 2008.
So you left in 2008 to go on to other things?
No, I left to come to America. I moved to Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I went to work on a game called Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. So I did that one. Yeah, I did that for 4 years, and I moved to LA in 2012. I've been freelancing since then.
Okay. So what you got going on at the moment?
Secrets, isn't it? You know what games are like?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah. So yeah, I just the usual stuff. I've got stuff to do. I did World of Warcraft Shadowlands last year. I did that. Mario Rabbids, of course, Kingdom Battle, which is the big to get to write for Mario was amazing. I did a tune for Smash Brothers for when they released Banjo-Kazooie for Nintendo. That was amazing. So I've had a couple of I did a couple of Civilization Beyond Earth games. They were good. What else have I done? Can't remember. I'm getting by.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to hear your thoughts on the obviously it's difficult because you've worked on so many games that are still very fondly remembered, but I think GoldenEye is still talked about a great deal and very, very remembered very fondly. And what are your thoughts on that and its continued success?
No one knew what they were doing back in the day, right? They just grabbed their asses and hope for the best, And I mean, and it was bug ridden for such a long time, and they put the multiplayer in right at the end because nobody wanted it. Nintendo didn't want it, and Rare didn't want it. It was done in secret and all that stuff, and that sold the game, Like, I feel like I'm really known for being the Banjo-Kazooie composer. I get tagged with that an awful lot. But GoldenEye sold twice what Banjo-Kazooie sold, maybe slightly more than that. So I feel like when I was at Rare didn't like to do interviews. Wanted to keep it all very secret. And Tim Stamper used to say, "We're not pop stars. We make games. Let the games that are talking. There's no point doing interviews or talking to anybody." And that's part of the mystique of Rare. I think that golden age of Rare, everything we touched just turned to gold, right? Because Tim Stamper and Chris Stamper were fantastic bosses. I loved those two guys being there. And Tim was on the banjo team. And having those guys kicking around was just amazing because they were absolutely geniuses. Like Tim's a genius. Like when I wrote music, Tim would go, "Yeah, it's great. What about this?" There's always what about another card? God, that's a good idea. Always something to go. Oh yeah, let's do that. Like that's what you want when you got a boss like that. So, and GoldenEye came out and GoldenEye was the kind of game that went like that. None of the games got a big spike, then it's it, right? But GoldenEye just went like that. Like, I was watching Ken Lobb talk about GoldenEye recently, and like the second year it sold more than the first year, and the third year it sold more than the first 2 years combined. Like, how do games never do that, right? It's because when I moved to America, I realized that in the college dorms, GoldenEye was the game that all the guys were playing, right? That was the college dorm game. Everyone played it. Like you mentioned GoldenEye, everyone I meet in the street who I did GoldenEye, they know that more than Banjo-Kazooie over here, So I think I got dragged off it, and you just forget how successful it was and how it really changed first-person shooters forever. Like, that whole stealth thing wasn't there till GoldenEye did it. Make a lot of noise, they're going to come find you and kill you. That's in every single first-person shooter that you find now, but it was GoldenEye first, So it's amazing to be associated with it, and I loved all that music. It was great fun. In fact, funny enough, I'm working on a movie right now called Bring Back GoldenEye, So if you look it up on IMDb, so I did a movie, but they did a movie about a couple of years ago. It's a comedy, right, about a fictitious GoldenEye tournament. It's set in Yorkshire. It's a couple of Yorkshire lads who make it, and they're doing a sequel. And I'm scrolling the whole movie at the moment, doing the whole thing. It's a comedy about this guy who's called Ethan Bellend, but it's pronounced as Bellend. It's Bellend, but it's accent on the second E. It's by Woodhouse Pictures. James Miskell's doing it, and Dan Guest's directing it. And I'm just doing it right now. I'm having super fun making it. So I'm kind of writing music that's a bit like GoldenEye. I'm doing all kinds of. We've got like a rock song in there I've got some of my old mates to sing on, and like it's a really cool thing to do, and it's funny, and it's about this fictitious tournament. So you should look it up. It's called Bring Back GoldenEye. So I'm doing that right at the moment.
I will, and I'll link it for everybody else.
Yeah, it's not later this year. It's not quite done yet.
Sounds interesting.
I can hook you up with the guy making it if you like. You want to talk to him?
Oh yeah, why not? Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks. Anything GoldenEye, I'm in. So.
Yeah, he's a massive GoldenEye fan, and he's actually talking about. They've had so much response to it. They're actually talking about maybe having a real, proper, genuine GoldenEye tournament sometime next year for a laugh.
Nice.
And getting the team along and having a proper thing with have a tournament. We'd all turn up and make good fun of it. So if that comes off, it'd be great.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. I actually won a GoldenEye tournament once years ago at an expo, and I felt so chuffed.
You should enter. If they do it next year, you should enter. So we're all going to be there. Hopefully, Greg, I'll get all the guys if it comes off.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely. Have a bit of a practice beforehand. I still play GoldenEye. I still really enjoy it. I think it's one of those, and from the music perspective, it's one of those soundtracks that you just hear a couple of notes and you're right back in the game. And like you're saying about the college dorm guys playing it, and maybe it's an age thing because I mean when it came out I was 16, GoldenEye.
Right.
So everyone my age was playing that.
Yeah.
It was everyone who had an N64 had GoldenEye.
Yeah.
It was almost like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, what a spectacular thing to be associated with, it's just unbelievable. I mean, that was my first proper game, right? I did the Game Boy thing, and that was my first proper game. Like, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, you just think, thank God it doesn't sound that bad, It could have been dreadful, so I mean, yes, I mean, I've got such fond memories of being at Rare back in that day. I just couldn't believe I was there. I couldn't believe I had a job. I was getting paid for one. I've been on the dole all that time. Robin got me. It was Robin's idea, And to get stuck on GoldenEye at the start, and then get Banjo-Kazooie and just, Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Tooie, and all, and Perfect Dark, and all those games came my way. I couldn't believe it. I mean, like, so lucky, So, that I guess that kind of people, when I meet new people that I might work for, they remember the games that I did before. So it's good for me, right? People that were that age, back then, are now in games companies. You go, let's get that old guy to do the music, Kirkhope, let's get him, so it works for you, So Rare was just a spectacular thing to be part of that in that kind of golden age of Rare, before Microsoft bought it. Just spectacular.
I think everybody I've spoken to so far has said pretty much the same, that they're very grateful, and a lot of sort of being in the right place at the right time,
Totally. Yeah, it's totally that. I really feel like it's luck of the draw, right? You just, I didn't know I could write music. I had no idea I could do that. It wasn't until I had a go that I found, I can quite do this. And I had no idea, it's like one of those bizarre things. And to be at that company, in the middle of bloody nowhere, middle of Twycross, there's nothing there apart from a tractor repair shop and a pub and a private school. That's it. And a village green. There's nothing in Twycross, nothing there. That's it, empty. To think that big massive thing is there, making right from the Ultimate Play the Game to all the Spectrum days, where they were hugely successful before they became Rare. Like, they were already massive, and they really created that feeling of team spirit amongst the whole company. And it was family run. The two brothers ran it. The other brother did the grounds. Tim's wife was in the office doing the accounts. Tim's sister Louise was in the office doing the accounts. The Stamper mum and dad were in the kitchen doing the meals and stuff. Carol's dad was part of the buildings. I forgot what he did something. It's just an old manor farmhouse that's slowly converted. I mean, it's all just family run, That's it was, And so, but the good thing about part of that is, like, you just did it. You decided to do something in the morning. You did it. There's no send it off to the producers in Microsoft to work to find out if they're going to okay it or not, and wait weeks to get a reply. It was just like, we decided it in the morning. We'll have it done by the afternoon. Off you go. That's how you make it. That's how you make great games.
Thank you so much for talking to me. That was really interesting. Yeah, and it's a pleasure to speak to anyone who made one of my favourite games of all time, of course. So
Anytime, Pete. Like, get hold of Graham for the list of the tunes. He's definitely got it somewhere. I know he has. Because people get asked so many times, you wrote the music, and he said, I'm just going to write it out, so I've got it forevermore. It's like, I'm sick of getting asked, you know. So we did that ourselves. Because we didn't call them what they were called. Like, I called them different names. So, you know, they rename things afterwards. So, like, something that I wrote was called something else is on another level that I don't know what it's called. So I know my name for it. I don't know what the level name is, you know.
right.
So he's got it all. So he'll sort you out. And I'll send you that guy's email. It's James Miskell, he's called. He's the guy that's making the Bring Back GoldenEye. Because I think, you know, it's an indie movie about a fictitious GoldenEye tournament. It's set in Yorkshire. It's in Leeds and stuff. And I think it's not hilarious, but it's funny. You know, and I'm doing the score. And it's a good laugh. And I kind of feel like it captures the spirit of GoldenEye. It really does. So I'll send you his email so you can have a chat to him.
Thank you.
All right, Pete. Have a good day. I'll give it to you. Say to you.
You too.